Hello all, this is Dr. Dave Maslock talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video I want to talk about going straight into graduate school or going straight into your master's or your PhD. And if you don't know me, I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out to get through graduate school that I decided to pay the favor forward and help you out as much as I can. So I am building this sort of sharing economy proofreading platform. That's the whole reciprocity thing. But I'm getting a real kick out of these YouTube videos of helping you sort of go through and think about these kind of decisions. All right, so if you're like me, you probably are thinking about going into your graduate studies. So this is what I was back in, I think it was 2003. That's a long time ago now. And so I was deciding whether to go into graduate school, and I didn't know whether to go into graduate school or to actually go work. So I went into a master's program, and I had to sort of make that same decision of going from a master's to a PhD and decide what to do. So I did work in between both of those moments. So I did work a little bit in the summertime, actually, between my undergrad. I always worked. I've been working since I've been like 13 years old. But then I worked in the summertime in sort of a really fun summer job at a summer camp, which didn't really count. After engineering, it didn't really count. But then after my master's, I went and worked for a real job in a Ministry of Health in Ontario, a large sort of government agency that sort of monitors healthcare. And I wanted to go into graduate school, but I just didn't know what to do. And this is what I would be thinking about if I were you in terms of making this decision and going through this thing once again and going back and thinking about all this kind of stuff. So if you are thinking of going into research and you want to become a professor or work in a university or go and work in a think tank or something like that, then I would recommend you just go straight into graduate school and not really consider sort of working too much, because you're going to do that job anyway. So the goal with this and the sort of thought process with this is to think about what kind of on the job experience that you're wanting to get, and sort of using that moment as a way to leverage what you're doing. So if you want to go into research and you want to do, maybe it is going and sort of analyzing a particular, I don't know, going into biology or something, or going into business like I did, a PhD in business administration. If you're wanting to go in that particular direction, then yeah, obviously you just go straight into doing the research and straight into a master's program and then straight into a PhD, because that's going to be your direct path to get into the job that you want to do. And it's just sort of relevant experience that you're trying to do. However, if you want to go into industry and you maybe you're thinking about going into consulting, or maybe it's being an analyst at a different company, all these kind of sort of moments, or you want to become a CEO of a company, for example, well, then go into that route and go directly in work, because that's going to be the most relevant experience for you. And the goal is to get the best return on your investment of the time that you're doing. So when you're spending time in life, we have a limited amount of time available in our life. And that's the big thing I want you to think about, is how much time you actually have in your life to get things done. So you might be thinking right now that, I have lots of time. So if you're like me, I was like 22, 23, sort of making this decision. I'm like, I got lots of time to do all this kind of stuff. But you know what? In reality, you don't. Because what ends up happening is you're probably going to meet somebody. Maybe you've already met somebody, and then you're going to want to settle down, get married, and start working on, different goals in your life. And that's going to cut short the goals that you're currently working on. Now, some people do work for a long time until they find somebody that's a significant other to sort of be with and work on other goals in your life. When a lot of people actually, if you look at it, I think the average sort of marriage age is somewhere around 28, 29, 30, somewhere around there across the world. That's sort of normal behavior in terms of getting married. And so that's going to cut your goals short. Now you can continuously work on stuff and push things forward on your sort of working goals. But at the same time, it's not going to be the same thing in terms of being goal directed and getting the single goal of becoming the thing that you want to do, right? So if it's wanting to become a CEO or a consultant, or a really good consultant, then you should probably work on that and push that forward, because those other goals are going to start encroaching on the bigger life goals are going to start encroaching on what you're doing. And if the older you are, the more that there's these kind of life goals that are going to pop up, right? So if you're 50 years old and you're thinking about going into graduate school, then you have to make this decision at that point too. And the amount of time that you have available is even shorter, right? And that's just kind of life. That's what we have to think about. And you have to sort of think about leveraging the experience that you're getting in life and leveraging in as many ways as you possibly can to achieve the goals and directions that you want to do in your life, right? Because we have finite amount of resources available. That's sort of a principle in management. And we've been talking about this a long time, and sort of we have finite resources available, and we have to sort of maximize or optimize on those resources as much as we possibly can. And the two most important ones are attention, right? We only have a limited amount of attention. And the other one is time. We only have a little bit limited amount of time to accomplish the things that we want to do. So you have to think about that, right? So you want to maximize those things. And that's why you want to leverage the particular area or the experience that you're going to get to go into the things that you want to do, because it's going to take a time to actually develop and to become the thing that you want to become. So if you want to become a CEO for a large corporation, for example, it's probably going to take you 25 years of being very focused and goal directed at that particular thing before you can actually become, a decent CEO at a large or a moderately sized company. Now, if you want to be goal directed in the sort of research direction and you want to become a full professor at a large, public or, private university, it's going to take about the same amount of time to actually get there before you are sort of world famous at that particular thing that you're looking for. And that's what it's really very similar in terms of those kind of things. So you want to maximize what you're going to do. Now, given that if you are undecided, right? So if you're watching this, you're probably undecided in what you want to do with the rest of your life. Like, that's completely normal. We don't have complete information. That's why I do these videos, is to help you out with making these decisions. You're like anybody else. You don't have complete information with the decisions that you make. So what I would do for you, there's two ways that you could sort of borrow to gain experience in a particular area. So what you can do, the first way is to look for opportunities where you can sort of do cross-boundary spanning or boundary spanning. So maybe it is your first job that you look for is going to be in research and development arm of a company, or maybe you go work at a university. There's tons. Universities are really big businesses. And, if you're like at the institution that I'm at, there's like 50,000 people that are there. And, of that, there's like 5 to 10,000 people that are actually working for the university. That's huge, right? So you should be able to find a job in that particular institution or that particular company, right? If you view it as a company, that would get you closer to doing research. And then you could sort of figure out whether you actually want to do that and whether doing, a master's degree or a PhD is right for you, or an MBA, right? So if you want to go and you're thinking about doing an MBA and becoming a CEO at a particular company, well, then maybe you want to do and become an analyst at a management and consulting company, and you're looking for becoming an analyst in that management consulting company to gain experience, to see how other people are sort of managing different areas, or different things that are going on in becoming a CEO. And lots of people actually, that's a really normal sort of stepping stone in terms of people becoming a CEO or going into large corporations and to running larger corporations, is to go into either a law firm and starting out their career at a law firm and sort of borrowing experience from this law firm and leveraging that experience in the law firm, or going into management consulting and gaining experience in that particular area, so you can decide whether you want to go in that particular area. Now, the other way to sort of go and sort of gain experience and leverage the experience if you're undecided is just go talk to people that are in both types of careers, and you want to see how they are dealing with things. So that's why these YouTube videos is really fun. You get to find out what it's like to sort of, go in this kind of career, right? And understand what it's like to become a professor and go and do research and stuff, because you can understand at least a little bit of it, or sort of superficial sort of understanding of what's going on by following along with these YouTube videos. Now, if you want to go and, learn about CEOs, for example, and you don't know a CEO, well, be very creative and go and maybe look up people on LinkedIn, for example, or find small businesses in your area. Maybe that there are, maybe you can go to the Chamber of Commerce and start talking to people that have, maybe they have a company that's 50 people that they're managing, and you could sort of get to see what they're doing by running those 50 people and get an experience or get an understanding of what they're doing to run that company of 50 people. You're going to get a very good understanding by doing that and just interviewing them. And if you're just really open and honest at that moment, you just say, would you mind interviewing? If I interview, I'm really interested in this kind of career. There's lots of people that are going to be, not, so if you ask 100 people, 95 people are going to turn you down, but then there's going to be 5 people that are going to be really, open and honest and nice and decent to you. And they're going to help you sort of make these decisions going forward. So with that, hopefully you like this video. Give me a thumbs up, and I do appreciate it. It sort of gives me information on what videos to do next. And the other thing is, make sure you do subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.